that is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and then convert another one, I say no. This is just an extension of what we did. Let's take a look at it. This is the convert temperatures program. And it's pretty, what do we have here? We have, well, only 3 functions. We have display menu function that prints out all the instructions. And this is misspelled here. It should be EI, which is called by main. Then within a while loop, we initialize again to a string Y, and then within the while loop, it will call convert temp, this one, and it will pass, doesn't pass. When it calls convert temp doesn't have any, neither of them have any arguments. Within convert temp, option is a local variable, which either gets set to 1 or 2. And if it's 1, notice before we did anything, we imported temperature as temp. We took the temperature module that's still floating around, and we created functions that were, everything that was in temperature can be called as temp dot to Celsius or temp dot to Fahrenheit. So, your number this will become Fahrenheit, or this number will become Celsius, and it will round it and print it out. And so that's what we're doing. Note, within this program, we don't define 2 Celsius or 2 Fahrenheit. We're calling them in the imported namespace temp. Okay. So, and we have that magic if statement down here that when you compile this sheet of code, it starts by calling main, and main calls all these other things. Okay, so there are lots and lots of modules, and we could look at them all, but we don't have enough time really. The math module, as you might suspect, has lots of trigonomic functions, calculus functions, a lot of math functions. Random is a really cool module. Random is one of my favorite, and it will draw random numbers with various permutations of random numbers. We'll take a look at that. Decimal, I forget what that does. Decimal, I'd have to look. CSV helps you work with CSV files. Pickle takes not jar files. I forget. I'd have to look. Pickle takes a certain file type and has functions in there that will enable you to save it or load it. tkinter is for GUI apps. tkinter's got all kinds of cool functions that you can use to build widgets, to build GUI-based apps that have, form fields that you fill in and stuff like that, that are pretty cool. Decimal, it says right on my slide, decimal has functions for working with decimal numbers. Pickle has functions for persistent data storage. But there's a particular file type, and I can't remember what it is. You need it. You need Pickle in order to save those and load those types of files. Okay, let's look at random. I like random. Here's 3 that are really cool. I think I already imported random. So let's do the help on these. random, rand int, and rand range. Let's say help. And random is a function within random. Random is a module, and it has, oh, what did I do there? I must not have imported it. It says name random. Okay, let's say import. Could have sworn I did. I must have closed it up or something. Closed up the import random, and then help random. Okay, actually random. Okay, we saw this already. There's lots of text. Let's go to the next one. No, there is a function called random. And what random does, it returns a random float value in between 0 and 1. That's what the random function. Let me demonstrate. If I say random without an argument. Oh, I know why. Because I need to actually call it like this. Random dot. It's in the random workspace. Random dot. Okay, so if we run it again and again, that function, you'll get some fractional number that's in between 0 and 1. Okay, because it's a random number generator, but actually it isn't. There's a seed, it sets a seed to a certain value, which determines everything else. So if you set the seed to the same number every time you run this function, you'll get the same quote random end quote value. But without setting the seed like I'm doing now, you'll get something between 0 and 1. So if you want to, you can, I could say times 100. Okay, so that will give me a random value in between 0 and 100. Or I could say between 0 and 1,000. So you can embed this in programs, to generate random numbers. And we'll see a couple of games where we do that. Rand int, let's try that. Random dot rand int min max, let's see. Returns a random integer value that's greater than or equal to the min and less than or equal to the max. So we'll say 0. It only returns integers, 0, 100. Okay, I said 9. That's good enough. 9 to 100. 21. We do it again. 66. We'll do it again. So it's returning a random integer that's greater than or equal to the minimum and less than or equal to the maximum. So that's what that does. Rand range. Rand range returns, and again, you've got to call it like this, random dot rand range. Greater than or equal to the start argument, which is the first one and it's optional, less than the stop. Okay, sorry, I get it. So it's a 0, 10. So the start is 10, the stop is 10, and the step will be, we'll say 2. So every time I run this, it's going to give me something, an even number in between 0 and 10. And I think actually less than 10. 2. Okay. So what can you do with these? Well, you can develop random distributions, for example. There's lots of things you can do with this. You can do bootstrapping, lots of simulations. Okay, so, and gosh, you know what? This next slide actually demonstrates some of these, but we don't, I guess you got the idea. You can just look at this and see what's going on. Okay, so this shows what random does, what rand int does, and what rand range does. Okay, so what can we do with all of this? Well, you can simulate the roll of a die, right? With randint. You say call randint from 1 to 6, it's going to randomly roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We set that equal to die 1. Here, let's do this. Just copy this into, but the slide illustrates what you can do. One thing you can do. We'll do this in a program right now. Guess the number. Guess the number. Okay, so this is kind of cool. Here, let's look at this. Okay, so guess the number. So let's open that. Notice what's going on here. It's importing random. It's setting a global constant to 10. It calls main. It's got this little neat piece of code, calls main. And this is very common architecture. The first thing you'll do often in main is call a display something function that prints out instructions or, some sort of banners or something. Then we use our familiar lowercase y, set that to again, and set up a while loop. So as long as this evaluates to true, it will call play game. And what is play game? Play game is the heart of the thing. Play game, first thing it does is it will, unbeknownst to you, it will choose a random number in between 1 and 10. Okay, and then sets up the count variable. It says, I'm thinking of a number from 1 to 10. And then every time you guess over and over again, it will tell you whether your guess is too high or too low. And you can guess again and again and again. Let's see what goes on here. Okay, so we say, run the module, guess the number. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Well, if you think about this for just a second, you say, well, the idea is to get it as quickly as possible. So I'm going to guess something in the middle, right? So I say 5, too low. Okay, so I'll say 8, something in the middle of that range that's left. Too low. So I'll say 9. You guessed it in 3 tries. Would you like to play again? Okay, we'll do it one more time. 1 to 10. My guess again, general strategy, 5. Too high. 3. Too low. Well, I know what it is now. It's got to be 4. So it's 4. So I'll say no. But note what you can do. By using this global constant, you can simply change this, right? That's instead of 1 to 10, now it's going to be guessing from 1 to 100. And we'll save the file and we'll run it again. And it says, I'm thinking of a number 1 to 100. So I say 50. Too high. Okay, 25. Too high. 13. Too high. 6. Too low. 9. Too high. Of course, it's going to take you longer because there's a wider, I got it in 7 tries, right? From 1 to 10, generally you ought to be able to get it in 3 or 4 at the most. It swings on the functions in random. So you've got to import random first. And then we have this global constant. And we did look at the code already. There's only 2 functions in this whole thing, including main. No, 3 functions. You have main, you have play game, and you have display title. Notice we're using an assignment operator with the walrus operator. I'm sorry, it's an assignment statement. With the walrus operator, which allows you to both enter something and test for an equality. the walrus operator allows you to do